Bricks and Minifigs is your one-stop shop for all things LEGO. Hit the link below to find a store near you.
My name's Robert Clarady, and this is the Dragon Keep. And as I put on my card, it's a keep. It's got dragons. It kind of started off as I wanted to build this building to complement the waterfall, and because I wanted to build a waterfall using the netting technique. And so that's what I did, and it actually was pretty easy. I guess I lucked out and got the geometry and everything right pretty quickly. So I built the waterfall, and then I built the castle to go around it, and then I'm like, okay, well, now I need the dragons. So I built a mountain with a big cave and a horde for the dragon, and I'm like, okay, well, I need something on top. So I built a tower on top, and then I started filling in the forest, and I made the mistake of putting in the grass in one little section, and then I'm like, oh no, now I got to fill in the rest. And so the fun part of that is I now know what like bamboo shoot torture is, because I got those little things underneath my fingernails. And it just continued to evolve, and I was like, okay, well, now I need more color. Green trees are boring, so then there were pink trees and purple trees and gold little bush tree thingies, and so and then got to have crops to feed the people, and so it just kind of evolved, and then it was really about trying new techniques. And so the little bridge, I wanted to do some big brick bending, and so I did that for the little bridge. And I'm like, I need to do some stained glass stuff, and so I played with the cheese slopes, and so that became a tower. And I had the curved 1x2 plate, and I'm like, I had played with it before doing a little tower, so then I used it to do a bigger tower. So everything just kind of evolved, and then became this. And I had to add the mushrooms because I saw the one guy who did the mushroom house on Bricklink, and I'm like, okay, well, that's really cool. I don't want to do his, so I'll do my own little thing, and I'll just kind of hide it in the forest. And so lots of little details. I love dragons, and I love dinosaurs, so there's dragons, there's dinosaurs, ogres and orcs, and just a lot of things to distract people from the things that I didn't do. So
It's very whimsical and fun feeling. I think that's what makes this so cool. It's kind of a departure from a typical castle. You have all of these colors and flowers. I especially like this bridge section, so that's really unique there. So talk a little bit more about your approach to kind of connecting these two parts up.
So the bridge was my second choice. Originally, I wanted to do a rock arch, but I didn't want this huge piece that I had to carry around with like 4 people to drag it in. And so I wanted to make it modular, and I tried to do that with a rock arch, and I failed. It just didn't look right. So I'm like, okay, next step, I can build a bridge. I know I can build a bridge, so let me build a bridge that looks cool, and add some flowers and plants and to connect the two buildings, and so it looks like it's supposed to be there.
Down here at the entrance, we've got looks like maybe a little bit more brick building, kind of sculpture work happening there.
Yeah, and so I can't take complete credit for the dragon's head there. That goes to the guy that did the D&D set. I kind of took his concept and kind of tweaked it to fit my need for the sculpture there. And then again, more brick bending to get that kind of arch. Again, playing with that. So yeah, just a lot of playing with new techniques that I hadn't used before. Same thing with like the rock work. I hadn't kind of done the snot curved rock work building before. So I played with that, and then as I told somebody else, I added the vines to kind of hide all the places where I couldn't figure out how to make the rocks come together and kind of distract everybody. So
This is a really nice technique, though, so talk a little bit more about kind of what you learned doing this, because it gives a much smoother effect, which is how a lot of rocks look in real life.
Right, and that's why I wanted to do it, and obviously I'm not the first person to do it, and I've seen some really great, curved rock features, and again, I was tired of doing the slopes, and so I'm like, okay, I'm going to try this. So what I started off with was a number of snot walls using, like 8x16 and 16x16 plates, and then building out from there. I made the mistake of making weird angles, which then made connecting those angles with the rock faces challenging. We'll say challenging. A few drinks were done in the process, and maybe a few curse words here and there. So
I think it turned out really spectacular in the end, though. And then talk about your approach to kind of the castle walls themselves, because it's easy to fall into just like a large gray wall type of situation. So what types of pieces did you accent with and kind of create some effects there?
So I've been collecting for a while, so I've got a lot of the old light gray and some of the light blay, and so mixing the two kind of gives that weathered effect. And I've got lots of old pieces that I've picked up that had a lot of weathering on them, maybe a few scratches here and there, and I'm like, okay, well, that kind of adds to the effect. And then every once in a while you throw in a different color, just kind of break the monotony. I'd used the technique before in a smaller build, and I really liked it, and so I tried to use it some more.
And speaking of brick bending, that whole tower in the back there is all the curved pieces, right?
It is. And I thought it was going to be a challenge to keep the shape. And one of the things I found out is when you get about 10 plates up, if you've got the shape right, it stays pretty sturdy, and I can just keep building up and up. And I did have a thought that I was going to build it really tall. And then I found out it's a very tedious process putting those 1x2s on around and around and around. So I kind of had to stop and finish the rest of my build before showing up.
So with all these different sections here, how do you transport this to the show and set it up at Brick Rodeo?
It's all modular. Most of it's on 32 by 32 mills base plates. The keep and the mountain, they're a little bit bigger. And then I try to be as simple as I can with the storage. So I just have big cardboard boxes to put those in, and I just set it on a slide those in there. And then the base plates are a little bit easier. The grass is on there pretty good, so I just pull the trees off and pull the buildings off, and then throw them in a box, and it worked out pretty well.
Do you know how many pieces are in the whole build?
A lot, yeah. I went through probably a gallon-sized Ziploc bag of just the little grass pieces alone, and then I don't know how many joules are there to make the water. There's a lot, and then all the 1x1s to make this cobble. So yeah, tens of thousands of pieces, hundreds of thousands. I don't know. I lost count after like 10 pieces. So.
And you mentioned kind of starting with the waterfall. So how has that been running for you, and what have you learned about kind of motion with Lego through that process?
So I did it in two sections, and the bottom section is run pretty smoothly so far, all the time. The top section was a little more wobbly. The bottom section was more like a square, so it was a little more stable, whereas the top section was a little taller and narrow, and it's wobbled a little bit, and in the process, it's kind of lost its consistency. Sometimes it runs for 10 minutes, no problems, and then all of a sudden it'll just catch and stop. So lesson learned there is I need to go in and reinforce that just a little bit more to take care of all the vibration, and of course, not just the vibration from the mock, but people tend to forget that when you have hundreds of people walking through, the whole building is vibrating, and it can affect those mocks like that, and I saw that today.
What was your approach to lighting the insides of the towers with the build?
So I used to use all the custom kits for just about everything, and obviously that gets really expensive. And so I started using like fairy lights and LED strips because a lot of them are USB, and so it's kind of a mix of that. I've got the flickering lights in the front tower, and those are all custom with the little controller to give the flicker. And then in the back, most of that is either fairy lights or LED strips, just because it's a lot easier to throw those in there. So yeah, and even the waterfall, it's just fairy lights behind there to kind of give it that effect.
Yeah. Well, the whole scene came together really well, so it's cool to see you kind of trying out different techniques here. And thanks for all your effort in bringing this out to the show.
Yeah.